G'day, I'm Adam Gordon, the Profit Sleep Detective, and a very warm welcome to this Cash Optimisation Report, a 5-minute interview where we give you some immediate practical tips on how to improve the cash flow and profitability in your business. Now, there's an old saying, without customers, you don't have a business, and that's a challenge. You certainly won't get the customers you want by being the same bland, nondescript edition of your competition. And I sometimes refer to this as being like a match in a matchbox. Why should they choose you? John Dwyer, known as JD to most, is a marketing enigma, unique in the field of advertising. When it comes to creating more sales for businesses, his thinking is refreshingly unconventional. And thank goodness for that. Because there are way too many so-called marketing experts out there who simply peddle the same old marketing philosophies. John preaches, in a sea of sameness in your industry, you need to stand out like a beacon. And the best way to do this is by using the wow factor marketing techniques. You're really going to enjoy this interview because John thinks way outside the square. He cuts to the chase and shows business owners exactly how to attract new clients to their business. His clients and business partners include the who's who of business, the likes of News Limited, 7-Eleven, KFC, McDonald's, Disney, Warner Brothers and Blockbuster Video, just to name a few. And wait for this, he's also the bloke who none other than Jerry Seinfeld trusted his latest advertising campaign to. So if you're looking for new ideas on how to attract new clients, get ready because you're about to get an avalanche of new marketing ideas. And now I know I mentioned a few big names that JD works with, but let me tell you, his teachings will work just as well with your business. So listen up. So John, if you're ready, we'll go.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that big wrap.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. John's going to answer 5 questions on how to stand out like a beacon, the wheel of wow client attraction formula. So John, first question, what tips can you give on how to identify one's most profitable client and then to look for more people who look like him or her?
Good, mate. Yes, and that's the first of the 5 steps of my direct response mantra, and that is identify your most profitable customer and then look for more people who look like him. And I guess the best example of that would be, if you don't mind me name dropping, the Jerry Seinfeld involvement with the bank, who has been a client of mine for quite some time. It's called the Greater Building Society. And when we were looking for a spokesperson for that particular building society, I was with the management of that company and they said, look, who should we look for? And I said, well, someone who's going to appeal to over 40s, mainly. And they said, why? I said, because you want someone who's borrowing for a home loan for their 2nd or 3rd or 4th home loan, which means they're going to borrow $500,000 or $1 million or $2 million rather than someone in their 20s who might be borrowing, $250,000 for their first home. And then they got it. They realised that where I was taking them was to look for their most profitable customer, in their instance, people who borrow for a home loan, and they're always going to be of an older generation because they're going to borrow for their 2nd or 3rd home. And I guess, Adam, that's really what I'm all about, is helping people identify their most profitable customer and looking for more people who look like that.
I completely understand that. I use a thing called the product or service customer matrix. In other words, and not just where you sell to, it's which of those segments, customer and product segments, actually make the most gross profits. Which are the most profitable segments?
Even if it was just a hairdressing salon in Bondi, which is an upmarket suburb in Sydney, their most profitable customer is probably a lady over a certain age who's driving a BMW. Exactly. And if they were going to put out a letterbox brochure, they'd put that letterbox brochure out in their postcodes that had more of that particular demographic. And it's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that. Okay, so how do you create a wow factor to take one's prospect off the price?
Look, and I know this is a short interview, so I'll make the answer as short as I possibly can. I guess number one, you need to identify if you are a challenger brand. And if you're not the Coca-Cola of your industry, you probably are. And I suspect most of your viewers would be. And if that's the case, then you're a hardware store and you're down the road from Bunnings. Don't try and sell your wheelbarrow cheaper than Bunnings, because that'll never happen. Okay, so to take your customers' eyes off the price, your wheelbarrow better light up in the dark, or you better give some free cinema tickets with your wheelbarrow. Okay, and that's what I'm talking about. A wow factor that we all are very aware of is McDonald's Happy Meals. And I've got 6 children, and they're way too old these days for Happy Meals. But at one stage, my wife and myself had 6 children under 12 many years ago, and I think we bought $6 billion worth of Happy Meals to keep them quiet in the back of the car. And it wasn't because of the hamburger. They threw the hamburger out. They didn't eat hamburger, it was because of the free Disney toy. And that's a classic wow factor to take the ice off the price. And in this day and age, Harvey Norman, for example, have 2 years interest free. That's all about taking your eyes off the price. Kellogg's have a free toy in the bottom of the box. That's all about taking your eye off the price. And would you believe even supermarkets, the likes of Woolworths and Coles, give you 4 cents a litre petrol discount. And that's all about taking your focus away from the price and onto the wow factor.
Yeah, it's the yes and yes factor.
You got it. And the thing is that if any one of us in this day of globalization think we're going to beat Walmart or Kmart or Big W or any of these big store, Bunnings, on price, then forget it. We're living in Disneyland. And so therefore, if you're a stationery store selling paper and printing material and, basically, printers and Xerox and all this sort of stuff, and you think you're going to beat Officeworks, well, think again. So what I do is help small business and medium business owners, come up with a wow factor to distinguish themselves from the 40-ton gorilla.
I couldn't agree more. It's all about margin in the end, because you're not going to get volume, so you've got to get margin. Yeah. Okay.
And you know what, Adam, why would you spend time developing a marketing plan which is based on dropping price when for most of us that's not sustainable? You and I can have a 20 or 30 or 50% discount twice a year like Myer and David Jones and get rid of dead stock that way. But we can't do that every week because we're not Big W and we're not Kmart. We just aren't built for that. So I advise people it's better to spend your time creating a marketing plan based on anything but price, because that's going to be sustainable.
Again, couldn't agree more. So Jody, how do you use the problem-solution formula as a massive persuasion tool? And I know in my client base, most people don't use that, but it's all about problem-solution. Can you tell me more?
It is, mate. And you're dead right. Around about 90% of people don't use it. And in fact, over 90% of businesses worldwide don't use this direct response formula, which I preach. And a lot of them don't use it because they think it's corny or they just don't know it exists. They think that it's always Danos Direct on the morning Kerry Ann show, and it's not. It's not. If I was the Palazzo Versace, I'd be using this formula rather than dropping my prices in winter. I'd be saying to people in Sydney and Melbourne, come up to the Gold Coast and stay at the Palazzo Versace hotel. We'll pick you up by a limousine. We'll give you free tickets to the theatre in Jupiter's. We'll give you theme park tickets, and you'll have your own personal butler service on the weekend. Now, that would cost them far less than dropping their prices by 50%, but they'd retain their brand. And the problem solution thing really is all about making sure that you understand that no matter what your product or service is, you are giving a solution to a problem. And the best example of that would be Nurofen or Panadol. We're not really fussed about whether there's paracetamol or codeine in the tablet anymore. We just want to see that little clock in the corner of the TV ad that tick, 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 tick goes around. And when the lady takes the tablet, 15 minutes pass and she all of a sudden looks much healthier because her headache's gone. And that's what I call problem solution scenario. And the best other advocate of that, I guess, on TV these days would be the Jenny Craig weight loss programs. They'll show that the lady might be overweight and she's not feeling good about herself. But a month after going on to the dietary program with Jenny Craig, guess what? She looks like Miranda Kerr and she feels like $1 million. So therefore, they've given you the problem and then they've shown you the transformation, which of course is the solution. And every single business owner should be doing it.
And that solution's the proof.
You got it? Yeah, exactly. And you can't have a problem solution scenario without showing them the transformation, of course. And that could come down to dirty driveways and paths in your home with the cleaner that comes out with a big gurney machine. You see the before and after shots. And of course, that demonstrates that he has the answer to your problem.
Okay. So how should our listeners improve their website and turn it into a 24/7 sales machine by using the direct response tactics online that you're talking about? And I know it's a big opportunity for people, but how should they actually use that?
It is, and I think all of us have to recognise in this day and age that our website is now our director of first impressions. It's no longer little Susie who answers the phone, hello, ABC Concreting. It's the website. There's hardly any purchase decision we make, whether it's offline or online, without going to that particular company's website. So therefore, don't waste that opportunity. If it's the director of first impressions, just as you would ensure that the lady behind your reception desk, is going to be greeting people the right way, then you want to make sure your website does the same thing. And I'm only talking fast, mate, because I know you've got a short time, but I'll just make it very quick. The ingredients that they need on their website are 5 or 6, and they are a problem solution headline, which should be no surprise after what we've just discussed, okay? So it would be, if it's a weight loss company, do you want to lose weight quickly? Well, guess what? You've come to the right website. The second thing you need is a welcome explanatory video, in my mind. And, you know, video is the fastest growing component online, and yet you'd be surprised how many small to medium businesses out there still don't use video on their website. And so therefore that video would be you or a presenter or a doodle animation video or some form of video that explains exactly what the problems are of the person visiting that website and how you can be the absolute solution for them. The third thing is you need to have a data capture facility, and that is that most people let people come onto their website and they don't know who was there. And the reason they don't is because they don't have any way to collect data. So what I say to them is that have a free report, and if you were a kitchen renovator, it might be the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when they're renovating their kitchen. And obviously, if you're on that website, you're interested in renovating your kitchen, you download that, and of course, they've got your details straight away so that they can follow you up. The fourth thing is that you need video testimonials. You need proof that what you're actually claiming works. So grab the 2 or 3 or 4 best video testimonials from past clients and feature those on your homepage. And this is all homepage, by the way. And then on your homepage, I believe what you need to do is have a strong offer with a time-sensitive deadline. And so therefore, the quickest way to get people to react is either give them a quantity specific scarcity factor. So there's only 50 of these, or a time limitation. And the time limitation is normally the one that we all use. And that is, look, this offer is only available until Friday at 5 o'clock. Now, if you put all of those components into your homepage, you're going to transform what might be an information website at the moment to a sales juggernaut.
Yes, it's so true. And they don't know it. And yet that information is there. But in my blog to go with this, I'll be putting those summaries as takeaways for people.
Terrific, mate. And you know what, in the offline world, the silly part about it, you know that the rugby league had a grand final and they had 84,000 people turn up to the football match, but they have no clue who came. So the crazy part about the world that we live in is that I've just been rather critical of most websites not having these data collection facility where, you know who came to your dinner party. But in the offline world, you can walk into McDonald's today. If I was running McDonald's today, I would sack their marketing manager, because they have 1.7 million people come into McDonald's restaurants in Australia today, and they have no clue who any one of them is. And yet they make you wait for a minute to pretend they're making the hamburger for you, and they give you a little receipt. Why they don't get you to fill in the name and address details on that receipt to capture the data, I'll never know. But you know what? The AFL had 100,000 people to the grand final. They had no clue who was there. You can walk into Bunnings today. They don't care who you are. Michelle's Patisserie, Baker's Delight, Woolworths, Coles. Outside of their membership VIP programs, none of these people have any clue who is coming into their business today. It's absolute madness, and I just want to invite these people to have a look at what Amazon has done and just copy it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so final question. How to stimulate loyalty through clever, repetitive trade teasing campaigns?
Good, mate, and that's the reason I went on my little rant a second ago about collecting data, because you cannot really stimulate repetitive trade unless you've got the data. Unless you've actually know who your customers are, you can't get them to come back and back and back, because you've got no communication with them. So my view is that in this day and age, what you need to do is what a very successful restaurant client of mine does. And it's a restaurant in Melbourne called the Lobster Cave. And I encouraged him to actually incentivise his wait staff with 50 cents a time to get everybody's name and contact details. And he's done that. And he's got a large database now of thousands of people. And all he does is walks into his restaurant at lunchtime and he says to his secretary, how many of our 30 seats are full tonight? And she says, 60. He says, good, we'll send out one of these text messages that JD, that's me, has put together. So she sends it out, and it'll be a lobster tail meal for 2 for $8. You know, you don't leave this restaurant before you spend $200 because it's a pretty upmarket restaurant. The fact is that within 15 minutes of sending out a text message, forget the email, that's yesterday. This is a text message. Within 15 minutes, his restaurant is full. He's the only restaurant in the world that has 100% occupancy every night of the week, 364 nights a year. And it's purely and simply because he's collected the data and he's basically text out to them a special offer to come in for dinner tonight. Obviously, when they're in there, he upsells them with desserts and wine and everything else. So, you know, he makes a good margin out of it. He could not do that if he had not collected the data. So what I believe everyone needs to do is collect data and then build a repetitive spending pattern formula. That might be a loyalty club, it might be a reward program, and the velocity virgin thing, you know what it's all about.
Yeah. John, that's really great. Now, where can people go to get more information or resources? Now, and I understand
where
you
can
do
I get
a webinar. If you
Yep. Yep, and thank you for where can they get more information from this know-all at the other end of your phone line? Your line at the moment. And I'm sorry for sounding like a know-all, and I don't need to come across that way. It's just that this system of direct response is so easy. It's just so easy for people to follow. So, yeah, mate, look, the best thing for them to do is just to come to my website, and that is theinstituteofwow.com. So there's no AU to that. So it's just theinstituteofwow.com. And if they go there, they'll see there's podcasts and there's webinars and there's all sorts of free reports and stuff that they can download. And there's a good chance they can be on there for, 3/4 of an hour and still not get through all the ideas on that website. So if they're looking for stuff to swipe, theinstituteofwow.com.
Very good. John, that's really good. That's a lot for people to take away and think about. I thank you very much for that.
My pleasure. Anytime.